Hello, in this video I'm going to give you a rundown on how to run Mission 1. I've got some background music on to drown out my wife's TV. Anyway, first thing you're going to want to do after you go to the GoO Master PDF and GoO Master, this area, look over the GoO overview. It's got a summary of each of the 3 missions. And you can view these as Mission 1 is a sandbox style game. It's city exploration. Throw the players into a city with some objectives, give them some quests to complete the objectives, or let them create their own quests to complete the objectives, and that's that. Very sandboxy, non-linear. The second mission is more linear and story-driven. The PCs need to travel to a dungeon and solve puzzles and figure things out and kill monsters. And then the third mission is just a giant dungeon crawl. But today we're talking about Mission 1, so go ahead and read over the summary here to help ground you. I'll give you a summary of the summary. There is a city on a planet that is experiencing a plague outbreak. The city has been quarantined. There's a giant wall up around it. Nobody can pass the wall. There's strict quarantine rules and laws in place. Half the police force has quit because they believe the quarantine laws are unjust and they're fomenting a rebellion, and the PCs can join the rebellion or thwart the rebellion or try to find peace between the planetary leaders and the rebellion. And of course there's NPCs who need help and can offer help. So that's what Mission 1 is. I didn't mean to click on this, but remember, this is just the welcome to Battletech, and this mission we're playing today. It's to ground the players in the Battletech universe and set up this mission. And this works for any of the 3 missions. So read that to the players before you start. Okay, Mission 1. How this is set up. This centered and bold heading is kind of like heading 1, mission synopsis. That's just a big overview of the mission. This here is heading 2. So giving you the state of the city, the strict quarantine laws. Another header 2, objectives. These are the objectives that the players must fulfill. So the players show up, they must verify and discover. There are rumors going about that the plague may be Galaxian Megaplague, or GMP, which is a Word of Blake bioweapon, but nobody knows for sure, and people are panicking. So the players must protect a team of field specialists, who are scientists, as they conduct tests to figure out whether or not the plague is a Word of Blake bioweapon. 2, protect the field specialists. This is the second team to be sent to the city. The first team had a few of their specialists abducted, and the rest quit. So the PCs must protect their field specialists and, if possible, find the ones that were abducted. 3, help where you can. This is pretty general. There's 3 groups of people in this city: planetary leaders, police officers, and civilians. You want to help the planetary leaders, thwart the rebellion. You want to help the police officers who quit the force, then foment the rebellion and kill the planetary leaders. If you want to help the civilians, well, you just talk to civilians and see what they need help with. Of course, you can't help all of them if they have conflicting interests. Now, I've got 4 quests that can be used to complete these 3 objectives. Some of them are pretty big. If some of these quests are just too big for you to handle and you don't want to deal with it, then don't worry about it. The players can make up their own quests. You can make up your own quests for them to go on. You don't have to run this exactly as is. But if you want to, we have a chain quest to complete Objective 1, and it ends up being a giant beer run. It looks like a lot of steps, but it's pretty intuitive, and this takes you across every location in the city. Speaking of, let's look at the map of the city. So here's the city map. This will be laminated for you. Not all of them are in color. We only have 1 color map. It was too expensive for me to print them all off in color. So here we see the locations are spaceport, beer factory, hotel, capitol, temple, residential area, hospital, convention center, which is connected to the hospital and the hotel via walkways. City buildings, more residential areas, a park, and a farm. This is not a combat scale map. This is more like a hub world map. And you'll have an armored truck Hot Wheel car to represent where the characters are and where they want to go. As the players in-game will have an armored truck called the Med Bear. It has a bunch of first aid equipment in it, so they can get bonuses to their med checks. And wherever the players decide to go, each location has a description and a mini-map. So when players go to a location, you just kind of read the description, look at the mini-map, and then wing it. You just got to make up a scene on the spot. You won't have these nice combat maps for each location. You know, it's like, here's the planetary capital building, the inside of it on one floor. That I printed out and laminated for you so that you can do combat on that map, because combat is likely to happen there if the players choose to join the rebellion and kill the planetary leaders. Convention Center, this is what it looks like. Combat isn't likely to happen here, so I didn't print out and give you a map of it. But you can still use this map to show the players and be like, hey, this is what it looks like. Or you can use it to help describe to the players what the convention center looks like. City buildings, no map for that. It's just whatever is reasonable to be in an area of city buildings is there. So if the players are like, I want to go to a 7-Eleven. Well, that seems reasonable to be in a city. You go to a 7-Eleven. You know, something like that. Farm. You will have a farm map because the farmer's barn is where the rebels foment their rebellion. If the PCs can gain the rebels' trust by talking to some police who are still in the force to spy on the planetary leaders, then the PCs will get an invitation to the barn to discuss how to rebel and kill the planetary leaders. And once the PCs are here, they can either betray the rebels and kill them, or be like, yeah, let's go kill those planetary leaders. FYI, if the PCs want to kill the planetary leaders, they will go to this floor of the Capitol building by themselves. And the other rebels will go to different floors, off table, and they'll have their own combats that you and the players don't need to worry about. That's to keep the combat small, so there aren't 20 people having combat at the same time. Gate, yeah, there's a gate. If you'll notice, where'd the map go? So this big gray rectangle, that's a wall, and here there's a gate. It's the only way in and out. That's important because there's a quest to transport an armored truck full of medical supplies from the gate to the hospital. Because the last time this was done, a gang robbed the van. Because, it's a plague. Medical supplies are in high demand. So the players need to protect that van. And the players will be jumped by gang members in this city alleyway. You will have a printout of this, throw the Hot Wheels truck here, throw the bad guy minifigs here, and start combat. Basically, there will be a roadblock here, and the van stops there, and then gang members throw out spike strips, and the van's trapped, and combat occurs. Temple. The city's religious. There's no separation of church and state here. They worship a river goddess named Neatis. This is just some fluff I created that I think is fun. Here's a map of the church. You won't have that printed out. It's just to help you imagine it so you can describe it to people. I have a little pseudo scene written up right here for you. You can use it or not use it. Beer factory. Okay, this map you will have. Residential area. You notice there are residential areas here. And again, if something's likely to be in a residential area, it's there. So if a player says, I want to go to a library, well, that's likely to be in a residential area. So go to residential area, you go to the library. Again, I don't have a library location prepared, but if a player wants to go to a library, just wing it. This game is about saying yes to crazy stuff players do. Anyway, one thing that is in the residential area is the elemental who kidnapped the previous field specialists. The first group of field specialists who came to the city without a military escort got kidnapped by an elemental named Sam. He's a test down elemental who left clan society. And this is his house. He trapped the field specialist in his basement with a bunch of toy chemistry play sets, because that's all he could afford. And he basically locked him up in there and said, find a cure to the plague. You can come out when you do. He tried some magic to cure the plague on this woman here. She didn't survive. It didn't work. Yeah, so that's how the locations work. Now let's go back up here. Go back to these objectives. So yeah, there is a chain quest to go through every single location to complete objective 1. It looks like a lot of steps, but it's pretty simple and you can just read it really quickly. Players don't have to do this. They can solve objective 1 without all this. And if they just never solve objective 1 and they're running out of time, then a random field specialist figures it out for them and just tells them. Okay, quest 2, find the missing field specialists. Yeah, so they can do this several ways. They can put GPS trackers on their field specialists and let one roam around by themselves as a sort of trap, or they can come up with they can use their skills to investigate and look for where the previous field specialist may be. It's up to the players. And this is where Elemental Sam comes in, and there's a scene for this. We'll get into that. Where is that scene? Yeah, rescue the kidnapped field specialist. So here's how scenes work. We got our level 1 header here. Level 2 header, summary. This is just telling you, giving you a summary of it. Introduction for players. Read this to the players. You don't have to read it word for word. You don't have to read it at all. You can make up your own words if you want. These are just likely things that can happen and how you can respond to them. And then some information for you to know to help you run that scene. So this scene starts once the players figure out where the kidnapped field specialists are. And then you begin this. Okay, join or end the rebellion. That's another quest. We've talked about that. Just read that over to let you know how to start it off. Protect the medical supplies to complete objective 3. Like I said, there's going to be an armored van that wants to go to the hospital. It contains medical supplies. The PCs protect it. They get jumped by gang members. Kill the gang members. Save the day. Okay, but that's like a lot of stuff to remember. What do you just do? Okay, you're nervous, you're scared, what do you do? Start with scene 1. Read the summary. Here's an introduction for the players. Just read this off to the players. If you know the information well enough, you can just speak from your heart, or you can read this off. It's basically, you'll be pretending to be the PC's boss, giving them the mission, and telling them, basically setting them up for the mission. And I have here in hard brackets notes to you, like pause to let the players introduce themselves, role play with the players, make it a conversation, and so forth. There's a handout. The handout looks like this. You'll have a printout that's laminated you can hand to the players. And this is just the state of Marion City and objectives. It's already stuff you've read in this handout, but now the players have it, so they know what they need to be doing. Okay, scene 2. Immediately after scene 1, begin scene 2. Read the summary, and then here's the introduction for the players. Read this to the players. This has the players having landed in the spaceport of Marion City in their dropship, and they're preparing their armored truck, the Medbear, before they drive off into the city and begin. The lead field specialist talks to the players and is like, how are you going to keep us safe? And the players can engage in roleplay with that. And once the players drive out of the dropship, there is a planetary leader who's around here who talks to the players and gives them the protect the medical supplies side quest. Yes, the planetary leaders are always drunk. This planetary leader is drunk as well, but he denies it. they're supposed to, the alcohol should be shut down here because it's not necessary. But the planetary leaders still have alcohol. Behind the scenes, here's some information if the players want to make interrogation checks to talk to the planetary leader, because he's saying he's not drunk, but he clearly is. If the players bite on the medical supply one side quest, then go straight to scene 3A. Again, read the summary to yourself, read the introduction for the players, go ahead and do the stuff. Remember the NPC to PC ratio handout that you have. That's not a handout, that's for you. That's a game aid for the GM. And just put the bad guys on the map. There aren't really minifigs for the bad guys. You can just use small D6 for bad guys, and the players can have their own minifigs. Okay. Now, really remember, after scene 2, so scene 1, you got to start at scene 1, the players have to sit through scene 1. Scene 2, you got to go to scene 2, the players have to sit through scene 2. But after scene 2, the players are free to do whatever they want and go wherever they want. They're just most likely to bite on the medical supply run. Scene 3B, again, this can happen at any time. This is we talked about this, rescuing the medical, or the field specialist from the elemental Sam. Scene 3C, Joiner and the Rebellion. And this happens, where it happens, let's see. Yeah, so if the PCs join the rebellion, they'll be in the barn talking to the bad guys. If they end the rebellion, they'll be in the barn too. But if the PCs are talking to the planetary leaders about the rebellion, the planetary leaders in the Capitol building will be like, kill them. Or don't, just stop it. And then you go to the barn and kill them. But it's also possible that the PCs want a civil approach and they try to negotiate a peace deal between the rebels and the planetary leaders, which is here. Again, remember, this is a level 2 header. This italics here, that's a level 3 header. Remember that the headers for this. Level 1, level 2, level 2, level 3, because it's in italics. All right, primary objective, figuring out that the plague is GMP, a Word of Blake bioweapon, and it came from planet Mayati. They can figure this out in multiple ways. Whenever they figure it out, just read the introduction for the players and wing it from there. So that's all the scenes that I have like pre-planned and pre-prepared. There's naturally going to be a scene per location whenever they walk into a location. But I can't write that many scenes, and the players can go to locations having done numerous things. They can go to locations in many different ways, in many different orders. So we can't pre-plan a scene for each location. You're going to have to just wing it. And of course, you wing it from this information here. Or you can just make it up completely. If you can't remember what's in all these areas, if you don't want to look it up at the table, then just make it up. So long as everyone's having a good time, it's fine. Like I said, there's 23 pages here. If you can't remember it, if you don't want to remember it all, don't, just make it up. You don't have to run it exactly as is. And that is how this mission is ran. So, one last repeat of how these are set up. Mission synopsis, which is just summary of the entire mission. And then we have scenes, which have information you just read to the players. More scenes. And then we have locations of everything. Okay, I'll see you in the next video for Mission 2.